So now we're going to hear about unleashing freedom and self-organization around the globe to increase individual liberty and freedom with young Brad Lipps, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Atlas Network. It is a position that he has been in since 2009. He is ruling it. He has incredible ideas and a couple of friends to talk about the Anti-Davos Brigade. So let's hear it for Brad Lipps from Atlas Network.
Well, thank you so much, Kennedy. It is exciting to be here at Freedom Fest. I'm Brad Lipps. I'm the CEO of Atlas Network, which is the global organization, the global network that advances freedom. And that's where I get to work alongside these two individuals, the lovely and brilliant Magatte Wade. Woo, there we go. And also, I like to call him the liberty movement's most learned swashbuckler who adventures around the world promoting freedom, Dr. Tom Palmer. And we've got 20 minutes, and we've set ourselves a goal of cheering everybody up. Because when you look at the headlines day to day, whether you're looking at the headlines here in the States or around the world, it's very easy to get pessimistic. But I maintain that if you're really committed to liberty over the long term, first of all, you have to just mentally decide you're not going to be fazed by the setbacks. But second, there's actually a lot of progress that's being made, especially if you're willing to look around the world at some of the strides that are being made, and especially if you genuinely care for the liberty of everyone. And Magatte, did you want to chime in on some thoughts about how this group tends to be characterized?
Yes, so just to put it simply, I used to be scared of y'all for the longest time. You see, having been raised in France, I've been told that folks like you, the freedom people of the United States, are among the scariest, especially for black people like me. So for the longest time, even when I moved to the US, after it was really hard for me to even fly through places like Memphis. As my husband is here, for the longest time I would not even fly through the South, let alone a couple years ago we took our first road trip to the South for the first time. And I was telling him, Michael, are you crazy? Should we do this? The cops, if they stop us, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you're silly now. And this is from somebody who travels the world. So for the longest time I was told that you guys here are the enemy and people like me should stay away from you. The heck away from you. And I came to find that really none of that was true. It actually took me a few years before I even came to Freedom Fest. And instead, what have I found? What have I found in people like you? I have found people who truly care. Because you see, the other side, for the longest time, used to tell me that they cared about me. And then eventually I realized that, oh, you care about me as long as your solution for me, in this case, let's talk about Africans and poor Africans, oh, we care about you. And you know what you need? You just need more socialism. You know those capitalist, nasty people, all the reasons why you're where you are. And just to come to realize it was not true. Actually, you're my best bet. You are my best bet. And it's not because, it's not because you say, to heck with foreign aid. I came to learn that actually foreign aid was just that, a scam for that side to get even more richer with, on top of that, the virtue thing on their back.
Yeah, so you can see why we're thrilled to have Magatte working with us for our work in Africa. And this whole idea of, people used to say, oh, the liberty movement's about, don't tread on me. Yeah. But we love the idea of, don't tread on anyone. We're about the freedom of all people.
That's right.
And that's why we're talking about this session as sort of the anti-Davos.
That's right.
Well, yeah, one of the distinctions that characterizes us as distinguished from the Davos crowd, we don't presume to know what's best for everybody else. Davos, we see it every year, the self-appointed elite, they fly in on their private jets in order to confer about what to do with the rest of us. And in particular, we're all told we should be consuming less, producing less and consuming less, which is pretty easy to do when you get back on your private jet. Their plans for us are invariably fueled with taxpayer dollars. That's the easy go-to source of money, and it's a catastrophe. Foreign aid is a disaster around the world. It has caused so much suffering and so much harm, and one of the worst impacts is it undermines democratic governmental accountability in other countries. Because politicians pay attention to who's paying the bills, and when those people are in Washington, New York, Paris, Tokyo, London, they're the ones who get the attention. But their own citizens are ignored. So it systematically undermines democracy, it undermines authentic economic growth, because what produces wealth is not government plans imposed on other people, it's free enterprise. It's people with an idea to start a business, people working, people investing and saving and creating things, as Magat has done with her business in Senegal. That is the foundation of prosperity. It's what makes countries rich. So we get to work with really awesome people around the world who get it. They understand that prosperity is not delivered to you by a politician. It's something you create. And you create it when you have the freedom to manage your business, to start a business, to enter the market. So our approach is characterized by respect for other people's dignity. How they live and how they solve their problems is up to them. It's not up to me, it's not up to Magat or Brad or the World Bank or Joe Biden or anybody else. It's up to those people who have to live with the consequences, bear the cost or reap the benefits of the decisions that they make. So our partners around the world, around the United States, all over the planet, they live there and they see the problems, how hard it is to start a business, how much paperwork, what kind of taxes you have to pay, the obstacles that are put in their way, and then they systematically work to get rid of them. Because the key to prosperity is free enterprise, and that's bottom-up economic development. That's really our watchword.
Yeah, and Tom was mentioning the amazing people that we get to work with. Like, they've been achieving amazing results, and these are the people we're talking about. They run 576 independent organizations from 103 countries that all partner with Atlas Network with the same goal in mind, that they're going to set their priorities, but they're going to be the ones that are working in favor of freedom, looking for our network and from our team for different types of support to get better together. And among the awesome results that they've achieved, I'm thinking right now of in India, our partner there has helped legalize 38 million businesses that had not been recognized by the Indian government, that were often harassed by the Indian government. In Ukraine, whatever you think about the US government and what it should be doing or not with the war, you'll be amazed at the partners there that we work with who've been able to put pro-growth tax policies on the agenda, getting that embraced by the Zelensky administration with the idea that you need to kill corruption and you need to make Ukraine a place that can prosper on its own and not be reliant upon foreign governments when it comes to recover after what they've been through. In Chile, our partners were able to defeat a leftist attack on the pro-capitalist constitution that had helped Chile over decades become one of the most prosperous countries in the Americas. And then one that is really dear to my heart as a parent, I'm just so grateful for all the US partners that we've been working with who've been involved in the school choice battles, which have been winning victories in West Virginia, in Arizona. There's a bunch of other states that are on the cusp of big things. And that is just really important for our movement. And what's important to recognize is that politicians were not the ones leading on this. The reason that we're where we are today on school choice and on these other battles where we're seeing progress is because there are activists like you, there are researchers who are committed to principles that have been working years and years in order to achieve this change of heart and a change of mind about the best way forward. They're putting into practice the principles that we all care about here, about individual liberty, free enterprise, limited government. And I hate that I have to add this to like the enumerated list, because I thought it should be self-evident and taken for granted now, but free speech is another one that increasingly we're seeing our partners have to rise up and defend again. And that's why we were really excited to be on the stage yesterday to give one of our biggest awards to the group FIRE, which you guys know as a defender of free speech on campuses that have now gone beyond campuses. We recognize them with our North America Liberty Award, realizing that the ACLU has become politicized. And while it used to be a respected arbiter of civil rights for everybody, they've changed. They've stepped back, and FIRE has stepped up into the fray. So how about a quick hand for our friends at FIRE again? And it's just one of the examples of big issues being taken on by our partners in the US. But as I said at the beginning, this is a global movement. You can see the distribution of our partners across the globe. It's sort of an amazing community we work with. And Magat, you wanted to talk about one of our African partners, right?
Yes, thank you so much. Yes, thanks for that opportunity, Brad. Just to put things into perspective and context for people, there is these partners we have been working with in Burundi. How many people here know Burundi? It's a tiny, tiny African nation, Central Africa. And there, it's also happens to be one of the poorest countries in the world, unfortunately. And what have we done there with our partners, with CDE Great Lakes? They have profiled. Today, I think you have a chance to go during the Anthem Festival and look at this movie called Papa Coriandre. So Papa Coriandre is this guy in Burundi who started a beverage company. He invented this one really cool formula for a beverage and has been running his business, but then he's been, going to jail, facing extortion, basically being harassed by the government day in and day out. And eventually, in the face of that, our partners, CDE Great Lakes, what they did is they went on to work on reforms. The reason why this Papa Coriandre was being persecuted is simply because he happens to be doing business in a country that does not want people to do business, does not want people to register their businesses legally. That is his crime. So what our partners did is they went on to work on reforms to kind of turn that around. And today, hundreds of thousands of business creators are taking advantage of those reforms. So that's what we're talking about in terms of let the local people identify their problems and also their solutions. We come on the back end to support with that. So when I say this crowd understands and cares, that's the type of care I care about. When you support organizations like Atlas so that they can turn around and support partners on the ground like CDE Great Lakes, the whole thing works. And all the way down to the chain, you have Papa Coriandre, who can start his beverage business and hire up to more than 100 people. That's the type of change that, as an African, I want. And you do that, you're showing me that you truly care and you truly respect me. That's it.
There you go. Nicely said. And one reason that we're thrilled about this movie is that it really documents the impact of this partner we've been working with for several years, and it's a partner that has been recognized in the recent past as one of our smart bets. The Smart Bets is a program that kind of has us acting like stock pickers, but for the charitable community that favors free markets. Or we identify 10 groups per year that we think are important to highlight for those of you who want to see your philanthropic dollars actually produce some real impact for the free society. The CDE Great Lakes in Burundi was one of our class of this past year, and just today we announced the 10 that we're celebrating this year. They're alphabetically listed on this slide. You'll note there's 3 groups that are from the US. The American Conservation Coalition has an amazing agenda that is pro-planet, but also pro-people. The Badger Institute is one of the great state-based groups that we work with. It's doing important work on school choice and other topics in the swing state of Wisconsin. And then Free the People Foundation is reaching new audiences with amazing stories about liberty. And then we're also bullish on the Center for Indonesian Policy Studies, Ideas Beyond Borders, which was founded by this amazing Iraqi freedom champion. Instituto OMG is from the Dominican Republic. Institute Ostrom is from the Catalonia region of Spain. Liberty Sparks in Tanzania, Livres in Brazil, and Prometheus in Germany.
Well, one of the cool things, I get to work with these people, so I have a job that it's just awesome in my opinion, because I work with awesome, amazing people. Just think about Indonesia. What the Center for Indonesian Policy Studies did was they looked at why is it so hard to live there? Well, it's illegal to import food. Food prices are very, very high. And for the first time in the history of Indonesia since independence, they legalized the right to buy rice from Thailand, to buy food from abroad. This represented overnight a 25% increase in the real incomes of 68 million households in Indonesia, just by getting rid of a stupid, idiotic law that made it illegal to buy food from across the border, which of course some of the local businesses liked, but at the expense of the vast bulk of the population. That raised incomes. Welfare states do not. This actually helped people escape from poverty. And then in Brazil, government monopoly on water and sewage. Everyone has to pay. Oddly enough, in poor neighborhoods, no clean water and no sewage service. And so Livre, as our partner there, changed the law to allow private companies to compete with the government, to allow private enterprise and private investment. And the consequence is water actually gets delivered, and basic sanitation services are now delivered to people who never had that, although it was guaranteed by law through government monopolies that didn't produce. So they know how to actually get these things done.
And thanks, Tom. And Brad, this makes me want to ask you to please share with people here, let them know that they actually can join us on this. We have our gathering at the end of the year, and it's such a moment of celebration, I have to tell you, because all year long, all of us here, we're fighting for our rights, fighting to make sure that we, preserve them and our freedom. And then during that time, it's really when you go and we're celebrating everything that was achieved by people in the US and around the world. You walk out of those doors feeling like the heroes that you truly are. So Brad, tell us more about that.
I'm going to pull up our last slide here, which gives you a QR code. Because, yeah, if we have managed to cheer you up a little bit in the 20 minutes we've been on stage, you should definitely come to New York for our Liberty Forum and Freedom Dinner. We don't have the immense scale of activities going on in a bunch of different rooms the way that the Scousins have done something remarkable here at Freedom Fest. But if you enjoy the people you meet here, you are going to love being in New York with us at Liberty Forum and Freedom Dinner, especially when you see people that are working at great personal risk for these values around the world. So thanks for your attention and enjoy the rest of Freedom Fest.